Cool. So we're just going to start by going over some super basic things. So first thing is variables. So anytime you have a variable, it's just going to be notated with the var. Whatever you type next is going to be that variable name. So if we wanted a variable to hold Steve, specifically Steve's height, so you'd say Steve height. And we could set that equal to, we'll just go ahead and set that equal to like 6 foot tall. Cool. So we know that Steve is 6 foot. Cool. And then we can do an array. This would be like var, and then again we could call this whatever we wanted to call it. We could call this one array of fruits. And a good way to think about arrays is just as like a list. So array of fruits. We'll have this one equal apple, banana, and kiwi. Whoops. Cool. And then if we wanted a new object, this is the best way to think about an object is like a variable that has multiple properties assigned to it. So we'll call this object Steve, and we're gonna set this one equal to these curly brackets. Now anything inside of these curly brackets, it's gonna need two things. It's gonna need a key and it's gonna need a value. So for Steve, we could give a key of name, and his name is Steve, and then we'll throw a comma down. This structure right here, where it's name and then something wrapped in quotes after a colon, this is going to be the default go-to structure for objects, and this is how we're going to build out all of the objects. So we'll say name is Steve, Steve's height is going to be, we'll say 5'11". Oops. All right, so Steve's height is 5'11", and Steve's shoe size is going to be, we'll say 11. Cool. This is the basics of how to build out an object. So the next thing we can do is a string, which is just going to be the exact same thing that we did right here. It'll be that variable keyword, which is var, and then whatever we want to call it. In this case, we'll say string theory. And inside of here, you can type literally anything you want. The string just refers to these set of quotes. And a string can be, quotes. It can be apostrophes. And it can even be backticks. And each one of those has its own use case. But for now, you can use whichever one you like the most. So we'll just stick with the quotes. And for string theory, we'll say is difficult to understand. Cool. And then for integer, let's go ahead and say 5. So what's a good name for an integer? So we'll say variable number, which we can call this one cheese slices. We can call that one whatever we want. We'll say that one's 5. This is similar. It's just that it isn't wrapped in quotes. So what we can do with integers as opposed to strings is we can add them together. And we'll go over that down here with basic arithmetic. But for now, just know that you'd just be able to create a variable name and then set it equal to another number. Cool. And then the last one that we have is going to be a Boolean, and that's going to be a true or a false. And again, you can pick whatever name you want for this. It doesn't have to be true, false. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You could say true, and then you create another one, and we'll call this one like pens. And we'll have this one equal false. So there's that. That's Booleans. Then we can jump into functions. So functions are going to be structured pretty generically. So functions are going to be structured in this way. It'll be the keyword function, and then it'll be whatever you want to call it. In this case, I'll say your mom. And it'll be a set of parentheses and a set of curly brackets. So all you need to know for now is that you should always follow this structure when creating out a function. Anything you put inside of these curly brackets is going to be executed when we call this function. So let me just throw a couple of things in here. So we'll say number, referencing the number that we defined on line 23. And what we'll do is, instead of it being 5, we'll say that number equals 70. Cool. And then what we'll do is we'll reference the other one that we defined on line 24, and we'll set that one equal to 1 now. Cool. So we'll come back to this and why I did that here in a second. Let's talk about console logs now. So console logs are pretty simple. It's just a way of having the computer talk back to you and give you information that it has picked up along the way. So it's as simple as just typing out console.log, and then you can have a console log out something in here, which would be like, hi, I'm a console log. It could be as simple as that, or it could be like console log. You could console log out any of these variables. So we'll console log out Steve. And then we'll also console log out pens. Cool. And let me give you an example of that running now. Cool. So you can see that first console log. It's hi, I'm a console log. Boom. Hi, I'm a console log. Console log out Steve. Console logs out the object of Steve. So we've got name Steve, height 5'11", and shoe size is 11. Beautiful. And then it console logs out pen, which is false. Awesome. All right, so let's do a little bit of just basic arithmetic. And what I'm going to do is just comment this out. That way it doesn't run this code, which anytime you want to have something not run anymore, you just throw these two lines in front of it. If you're on a Windows machine, you can do Control and then click that line once, and it will automatically comment out the line. But yeah, let's do a little bit of basic arithmetic. So what we'll do is we'll create a new variable, and we'll say added is the name of this guy. And what we'll do is we'll add numbers, or sorry, we'll add number plus cheese. Beautiful. And then we'll just console log this out. Cool. And we get 14, which makes sense because that's 5 plus 9. And now what we'll do is we'll create a new variable, and we'll call this one subtracted. And what we'll do is we'll say number minus cheese. And we'll console log that out too. Beautiful. And then we get a -4. So now what if, whoops. Beautiful. So now what if we call this your mom function right here before we console log out, or sorry, before we do the arithmetic on line 51. We got a -4 before, but what this your mom function does is it actually changes the values associated to the number variable and the cheese variable. And let me show you that running. All right, we're just going to run that and look at that. Cool. So it's now changed number to 70 and cheese to 1. So it gives us the console log of number minus cheese. And it's with the new numbers as opposed to what we had originally declared it as. But yeah, I hope that you found this interesting. I'll be posting a couple of other super basic tutorials on this stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below, and I will do my best to get back to you on them. Have a good one.